Okay, we're live. Hey everybody and welcome. Just wanted to do a little stream tonight, Saturday. It is May 15th, 2021. Thanks so much for joining me. A lot of stuff on my mind that I want to talk about with you. I have some clips that I probably will play. I'm not sure if I'm going to play them depending on what we get into. Good evening to everyone. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places that we're streaming. There's so many things that are happening right now that I don't know. I couldn't really go to sleep until I actually got a couple of things off of my chest with everything that's happening, not only here in the United States, but what's happening across the world. But then also quite a few people have been reaching out to me, asking me to do another U Up stream because, you know, it's where we get together and we get a chance. We haven't done it in a long time. 2021 has been a hell of a year already. That's all I can say. That's all I will say. But good evening to everyone. I see everyone on YouTube and everyone on Twitch and all the other platforms. So thank you so much. Leave your comments in the comment section. I'll do my best to, you know, interact with the audience. But that said, I've been in a really, let me lower the music a little bit because I want to make sure I say this correctly. One of the things that's really, you can't look at what's going on with Israel and Palestine, and particularly what's happening with the question of the humanity of the Palestinian people. And, you know, I just heard from a friend of mine that we hadn't really been talking all week. So I had a chance to talk with him and, you know, he sees it. He, you know, for the most part, he sees it the way I see it. But we weren't talking for a minute because it is a difficult thing that's happening right now. But the main thing for me, if you've listened to any of my work for any amount of time, you know, the core of anything that I do is the common humanity that we all have. And it is the inhumane treatment, the war crimes that are happening right now to the Palestinian people, and the the absolute disregard for their humanity that's happening, not only there, but also here in the United States. And the most straightforward statement that we've gotten from the Biden administration on this was when Israeli forces blew up the building that housed the Associated Press, as well as, I believe, Al Jazeera's offices. And Jen Psaki, the press secretary, came out with a statement today, with tweets, with a series of tweets, letting it be known that that's a clearly an issue and that they spoke directly to Israel. But for me, it was like, yeah, y'all know me. I don't care about buildings. I don't care about buildings at all. It's the human life that matters. And there's a clip. I was going to trim it and do it all proper and neat, but there's a clip of Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman from Michigan, where she was describing what happened. Actually, I'm going to play a little piece of it. And I haven't scrubbed it. I haven't gotten it to the exact spot, so it's not going to flow so smoothly. But I just kind of want you to listen to her as she describes. She's Palestinian, or, you know, Palestinian descent, and she's describing a mother who, anyway, allow me to skip to it. It's a long video, but I'm going to skip to that one part. And I want you to hear how she describes what she describes. Take a listen.
Expand settlements, continue to demolish homes, and continue to make the prospects for peace impossible. 330 of my own colleagues, and Democrats and Republicans here, 75% of the statement broke me a little.
Here we go.
From pure fear and terror. I want to read something a mother named Iman in Gaza wrote 2 days ago. She said, quote, "Tonight I put the kids to sleep in our bedroom so that when we die together." And no one would live to mourn the loss of another one. The statement broke me a little more because of my country's policies and funding will deny this mother's right to see children live, her own children live without fear and to grow old without painful trauma and violence. We must condition aid to Israel on compliance with international human rights and end the apartheid. We must.
The mother put the children. Listen, I had another friend who reached out to me this week, and you were saying that, Ben, you're really going real hard over this. I guess it's the popular thing on the left to do is to go real hard on this. And I'm like, really? When has anyone who's known me would even consider, forget about me. The point is that, is this not something to be vigilant over? They're killing children and erasing it as just, oh, it's war. Where's the humanity? Because if we are people who are people of good conscience and good faith, and we fight for human rights, and we fight against oppression, and we fight against war in general, but war crimes specifically, then how do we stop with the Palestinian people? How? I don't understand how we can see what's happening, and in everything that we do, we are pro-human rights. We are against war. We're anti-war. We are, we're against police brutality. We're against the dehumanization of any group except the Palestinian people. Not to make this about me at all, but I don't understand how anybody in our circle or anyone who's ever listened to our work and anyone who's ever seen why we do what we do would think that compassion and that empathy would stop with the Palestinian people. One of the things that sends me is the reality that because of my taxpayer dollars and your taxpayer dollars here in the United States, in the seat of empire, that there are war crimes being committed, not only what's happening right now with Israel, Palestine, but also across the globe. I mean, our hands are all in Yemen, our weapons. For a time, our logistics were there. The logistics portion of our complicity with the war that's happening in Yemen, the humanitarian crisis that's happening in Yemen, that, the Biden administration brought that portion to an end, but we haven't stopped Saudi Arabia from committing their war crimes in Yemen. And I pause and I think, and that I wanted to play that little portion of Rashida Tlaib's speech, because I think about what it must be like as a parent to not have any control over the destiny of your children, to the extent that the best thing that you could do is put them all in the same room with you, so that if you all die, you die together. That is the prospect of human beings right now, tonight, today, right now, presently. There are parents who have no control over protecting. I almost lost my, let's just say, my composure. When and I tell this story, I don't tell it often, but I do tell it. You've heard it before. The night that we've had tornadoes were so close to my house that the last thing the newscaster said to us was, "Get your shoes on and be prepared to get out of your homes." And then the power went out. And at that moment, I had to look at my kids and lie to them, say, I told them everything's going to be okay. It turns out it was true, but at the time, I didn't know, because the tornadoes were, as far as I knew, all I could count on was like whether or not it actually hit my street or the street next to us. And I'm looking at my kids. They're all huddled up in the closet. My wife holding the newborn baby at the time. There wasn't enough room for me in the closet, so I had to stand out in the hallway, and I'm just looking at my family, and I'm like, there's literally nothing I could do right now but pray. And the next day, when everything was fine for me, I realized that because of America, and not just America, but in that next morning, I realized that because of so many states, so many nations across this globe, there are parents who don't have to be afraid of tornadoes devastating them. They have to be afraid of drone strikes, airstrikes. At any moment, their home could be hit with an airstrike. And to hear that Palestinian mother say that she had to put her children in the same room with her because she did not want to leave anyone to mourn. And I get it. I understand that sentiment. But to have to make that decision. For what? For what? Land? For land? For property? For what? A political ideology? No, seriously, let's go down the list. What is worth putting another human being? I don't care. You want to ask me about numbers? At what number? What's the threshold? No human being should have to go through what the Palestinian people are going through right now. No human being should have to go with what a Yemeni father has to go through right now, unable to feed his children. His children are emaciated because of a blockade. For what? The political power of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? The older I get, the more radical I get. People say you get more conservative the older you get. No, baby. Have children and you'll see how radical it turns you. Because there's not a single person on the face of the planet who should be going through this. And we have it in our capacity to stop it. That's the thing. That's the kicker. It's not as though we can't, this is some mystery that is completely unsolvable. We have it in our capacity to stop this. And yet, the United States right now is just quiet. The United States right now is just quiet. I'm going to play this clip, and this clip is from Middle Eastern Eye. And I shared it earlier on YouTube. I shared it everywhere because it's not only the parents, but it's children. Listen to this 10-year-old girl as she describes how she's incapable of fixing this. And as you watch it, realize that we are capable of fixing it.
I'm always sick. I'm always, I don't know. I can't do anything. See all of this. What do you expect me to do? Fix it? I'm only 10. I can't even do anything this more. I just want to be a doctor or anything to help my people, but I can't. I'm just a kid. I don't even know what to do. I get scared, but not really that much. I do anything for my people, but I don't know what to do. I'm just 10. I'm just 10. All of this, when I see it, I literally cry every day, saying to myself, why do we deserve this? What did we do to this? My family said they just hate us. They just don't like us because we are Muslims. Why does Muslims act for you like that? We're just kids. You see all of the kids around me? They're just kids. Why wouldn't you just send a missile to them and kill them? It's not fair. It's not fair.
If our humanity stops with the Palestinian people, then do we have any humanity at all? If our compassion stops there, can you call yourself a compassionate person? If all of a sudden things get so complicated that you can turn a blind eye to the cries of children, well, it's easy when you don't hear them. It's easy. It's easy when you have otherified an entire group of people, so much so that you don't even consider the cries of their children to be real cries. Can you actually consider yourself a good person? And for what? For land? For political arguments? For economic disputes? For differences in economic ideologies? For differences in belief systems? For religious purposes? Right. We are going to turn a blind eye to that because because it threatens our power. No, let's just cut to it. All that other stuff is a facade. When you cut down to any disagreement across the face of this planet, I don't care what time, I don't care how long ago you study in history, what conflict comes in the future. At the end of the day, these conflicts, people die. War is there because it is a threat. Someone is a threat, or some group is a threat to our power, to our political or economic power. But we're good people. We're good people. So I'm not going to labor on that particularly too long because there's plenty of sorrow going around. And it's not just this conflict. It's we just act like what's going on in Yemen don't even happen anymore. We just act like the fact that this year they estimate 400,000 children can die with what's happening in Yemen. I often wonder, like, isn't life already hard enough without compounding it with the evils that we come up with? The fact that if we ended war right now, like if there was no more war and everybody had housing, everybody had the 5 things that I advocate for. They had peace, they had housing, they had food, they had education, and they had health. If we had all of that, we still, as human beings, will be faced with any number of traumas. The catalog of traumas would be filled simply because we are alive. I mean, we have to come to grips with the fact that we're all going to be dead one day. Like, isn't that traumatic enough for us not to add drones on top of it? See, I want to make sure that you understand this is not an idealistic kind of, oh, utopia. Oh, can we all get along? It's a person trying to balance the fact that the way we might have to end war is to end the states. And that may not come peacefully. And so some of the solutions to get us to peace may not actually be a pathway through peace. It's not kumbaya. It's if y'all keep killing people like this, the people around the world are going to find a way to unite, and we are going to hold the states hostage. We are going to hold the powerful. You are not going to continue to exploit us, starve us, kill us, beat us, and then expect us to just go out and consume all your little raggedy toys that you produce. All right, never mind. Hang on. Let me dial it back. So don't think for a second that this is like pacifist kumbaya. Oh, can't we all get along? It is to clearly identify that there are powerful people in this world who have seized control over every state. I'm sorry, every government. Every government is complicit with oppression in their own borders. And in the United States case, we're complicit with oppression across the globe, and we're not by ourselves. Every single state has blood on their hands. They use force. So y'all not going to be able to get away with this forever. You may get away with it for the rest of my lifetime, but eventually the people will have their say. And when I say the people, I mean oppressed people all across the globe. Oppressed people and people who understand that oppression cannot be sustained, right? People who have been oppressed and then perhaps now we're no longer oppressed. Those of us who are sitting in empire, those of us who are sitting in the middle of the United States, nice and comfortable. And the only thing I really got to worry about is whether a tornado is going to come and tear my house down. I don't have to worry about a single drone flying over my head. And so where I could be complicit with this empire, there are allies within this empire who are looking for solidarity internationally. And one day we're going to find a way to do it. And you all are going to realize exactly how powerful the people really are. And when you find out how powerful the people really are, you're going to realize really quickly that the real Leviathan wasn't the governments. The real Leviathan are the people. Just keep on giving us some technology, Keep giving us the technologies. Keep on. Never mind. Everything's not to be said publicly. But the point is this. There is suffering across the globe that we are complicit with because of our tax dollars. And while we may not be able to stop all of this, one by one, people are waking up. 2 by 2, 10 by 10, 100 by 100, like however many people are listening to this, you're going to go tell your people. People are waking up. People are waking up not just to this individual conflict, but to conflict in general. And the fact that war making is money making. War making on the face of this planet is nothing more. There is not a single war. There is not a single conflict that is occurring right now that is not rooted in greed or just power, pure and simple. Whether it be political or economic power, there is not a life that is being massacred right now that is not rooted in greed. There is no valiant heroes. There's no patriots. There's no God bless America soldiers going off to do the spread democracy. All of that is a facade. In every case of every conflict that's happening right now, it is nothing but greedy human beings who put the value of their self-interest over the value of the lives of children. Yeah. So let me read some of y'all comments because I've that's all I got. That's all I got. I just know it's not going to always be like this. Because it can't. Because what they need, the means of production right now is totally different than when my dude was writing about it. The means of wealth production right now is overwhelmingly becoming data-driven and financially driven. Financial markets selling our data. For them to accomplish the data side of it, they are increasingly having to put technology in our hands. A side effect of that technology being in our hands is the interconnectivity that goes beyond borders, which is why we can hear, see, feel, and connect with the pain of the Palestinian people right now. The fact that bombs were literally dropping in the distance. And there's a video of children jumping on, like, it looks like the same exact brand trampoline that I got my children. And there were children finding a way to have some joy in the middle of bombs dropping on the other side of the street, of the other side block, a few blocks away. So now we can see it. We can feel it. It can't be hidden anymore by the mainstream media. It can't be hidden anymore by the political agenda of the two-party system here in the United States and the military and industrial complex. It can't be hidden anymore. And so in order for it to be ignored, you have to expose yourself for the lack of humanity, for the inhumane person that you really are. That's what you got to do. You don't have the luxury. We do not. There's not a person on the face of this planet that has the luxury of ignorance, or even the luxury of blaming it on propaganda, because the information is there for you to see. The videos are there for you to see. The oppression is there for you. The murders are there for you to see. The dead bodies of children are there. See, people wanted me to ignore what was happening in the Syrian civil war because they didn't like particularly, I'm not going to get into those particular nuances because it's going to be a whole nother thing for people to come after me for. But you know what? You had to show the fact that you're willing to ignore the broken bodies of children in order for you to justify whatever your political position was on the Syrian civil war. You got to do the same goddamn thing right now. You got to. So we're seeing exactly where that line is drawn for everybody. At what point do you cut off your humanity? Because if you embrace your humanity any further, then it can potentially weaken your power position. Very specifically, like I know that's like a whole lot of words, but basically what I'm saying is that there's people who have to ignore what's going on, because if they let their heart be touched by the pain that they are seeing with their eyes, then all of a sudden they got to honestly reevaluate their entire position. They got to reevaluate their political position. They got to reevaluate their whole life. They got to reevaluate their own heart, because you cannot tell me that you could look at what's going and think that you are a good human being if you could just turn a blind eye because it's not politically expedient for you to advocate on behalf of the Palestinian people. See, this is why, listen, if y'all ever wanted to know who's backing Benjamin Dixon, it ain't nobody. Ain't nobody. Because if they were, they would be pulling my coattails right now. One day I will talk about why you have so many black people who are silent on this. Black politically connected people who are silent on this. You can put it together yourself. I'm just not going to talk about it tonight. What I want to talk about is, where is that line in your heart where you stop being a human being? It's generally located at the place where, if you actually acknowledge the pain of the person that you're hurting, then it might require that you decrease. It might require that you take a step back. It might require you give someone else an opportunity to have power. It might actually require that you not hoard all of the resources on the face of this planet. I like to think that everybody, let's just be truthful. Everybody has a line. Some people's lines are just right there at greed. If they can't hit that quarterly profit margin, they don't give a damn what happens to you. They don't care that you would be an 89. There's a video going around today on Twitter. It's such a touching video, and I'm not making fun of it. Maybe I am. The 89-year-old man who was delivering pizzas, and everybody on TikTok got together and raised him $12,000. And it was a beautiful video. But, you know, for some people, their humanity stops because they don't give a damn if he's 89 years old and having to deliver pizza 6 days a week just to survive. They got to hit their quarterly profit margin. So for some people, it's as simple as making sure that they get the dividends that they need every quarter. For other people, it's political power. They don't care about your life. And actually, can I be very specific? I don't honestly know if we have I honestly don't know in the temples of America in Washington, D.C. I don't know if we have more than maybe 25 people up there who actually have like the heart for humanity to the point where they will extend themselves, where they will yield power, where they will inconvenience their pocketbooks, where they will pay more taxes, where they would ignore a lot. I don't know if we even have 25 people out of the 500 some odd people who run this country in Washington, D.C. I sure as hell know we don't have it on, state levels. Like, I don't know if we are led by even 25 individuals who actually will go the distance with their humanity. I know for certain we're led by sociopaths who really don't give a damn and think that empathy is weakness. And I feel like eventually one day they're going to realize that it is the empathetic individuals who probably would burn this entire thing to the ground because of their inhumanity. They think it's weakness, but it's actually like compartmentalized. Like we're just trying to hold on. We're just trying to make sure that we give this thing a chance to be accomplished through peace first. But for every broken child that we see on the internet, for every emaciated body we're seeing in Yemen, for every life that is just snatched, you're pushing the people who are compassionate closer to the edge of just setting aside our compassion long enough to get you sociopaths completely out of power all across the globe. So, anyway, I'm trying to find the right word here before I end the stream. It's not empathetic people. Humans. That's the word. Humans of the world unite. Whatever country, whatever language, whatever religion, whatever philosophy, whatever you believe and hold, cherish so dear to you, those of us who have a greater humanity in us and refuse to allow greed to trump that humanity. Religion will not trump that humanity. Economic paradigms will not trump that humanity. Wherever those people are, those are the people who need to unite. Because for the sake of humanity, if we allow ourselves to be continue to be controlled by the sociopaths that run these states, these countries, if they remain the only voice at the table, the only voice with power, the only voice with strength, they're going to destroy us. They are going to destroy us. And I'm not talking about in like 100 years. We'd be lucky if we last that long with the sociopaths who are leading us. Those who could look at the broken bodies in Palestine, those who are looking at the broken bodies and the emaciated bodies in Yemen. The children who are, they're not, some of them are being blown apart. That's almost the merciful way of dying in Yemen right now. I'm talking about the children who die through starvation. I don't think we make it 100 years with this current order dominating. And trust me, trust me when I say, anyway, no, that last one I'm gonna keep to myself. That last one I'm gonna keep to myself. I appreciate all of y'all just hanging out with me. I do want to leave you with just the idea that the humanity will prevail. There are those of us with a great level of compassion and empathy who are also extremely, we would fight to the last man on behalf of saving lives. And I say that because this level of love, empathy, compassion that is needed, it cannot be accomplished through silence. It cannot be accomplished through songs and kumbaya. We may sing, but we will fight. We may be loving, but we love enough to remove those of you who are hurting us. And the only thing we're lacking right now, I'm gonna talk to the people who need to be talked to. Anyway, that's all I got. Have a great night. Love somebody. Be kind to somebody. Before we log off, would you just do me a favor? We haven't done this in a really long time. Would you just be nice to someone in the chat room for me? Would you extend a kindness to someone in the chat room? Even if it's just saying good night to someone else. Show when you can be kind. Let's be kind. And when we can't, we take no prisoners. And the rulers of this world need to understand, y'all are pushing us into a corner where we cannot be kind anymore. And if you think the ideologues, if you think the people out here who are screaming revolution are the people that you should be worried about, no, you should be worried about the people who grieve every single time your greed takes a life. Those are the ones of us that you really need to be worried about. The people who are in the comment section showing each other love right now. Love somebody. Be kind to your neighbor. Let me get off of here before I say something. Good night, everybody. I'm going to bed. I'm about to go watch some Star Trek. I'm about to escape to something that actually can,